In over 100 years of consistent success, many great players have worn Rangers' famous light blue jersey. But no list of the greatest of them all could ever be compiled without the name of John Greig, who first arrived at Ibrox at the beginning of a golden age of Scottish football and went on to serve his only club as player, manager and now club director. His achievements are staggering. He played 857 matches, including 2 European finals, won 16 major medals and scored 140 goals, which still ranks him in the top 10 of Rangers' all-time top scorers. He was club captain for 12 years and played 44 times for his country. Even the award of an MBE had to take second place to the honour bestowed upon him by the Rangers fans, who in 1999 voted him the greatest ever Ranger. This is the story of a legend. Born in Edinburgh in September 1942, and in these less affluent times, even at the age of 24 and captain of Rangers in Scotland, still lived with his parents in the same tenement flat in Prestonfield, where it all began.
Very much brought up in a football-orientated family, all Hearts supporters. And I think from as early as I can ever remember, I was playing with woolen balls, paper balls, any kind of ball, kicking it about in the house with my brothers, using the wardrobes and the sideboards as goals and things. And from an early age, all I can remember ever being was wanting to be a football player.
John's older brother Tom, a decent player himself, was his first coach.
He used to take my right shoe and sock off, so as if I kicked the ball with my bare foot, it would hurt. But this was his way of making me kick the ball with 2 feet. So by the time I was 5 or 6 years old, I could kick the ball as well with the left foot as I could with the right. Back green in the close, I got thrown out the close umpteen times for playing keep up here, and the people on the bottom floor were getting annoyed with the ball banging against the wall at the time. So, and it's fair to say I got a few rows from a few of the neighbours for jumping into their gardens to get my ball. I played with a tennis ball most of the time. And there was no fences, it was a railing, and the ball would slip into the garden, and I got stick from them. So it was happy days because there was a more of a community about the place then, a community feeling about the streets and that in those days, because there wasn't the traffic, and a lot of people didn't have televisions.
He was small for his age, just 5'3" at 14, but was still chosen for Edinburgh schools to play Glasgow schools, where he first came across a future teammate and knight of the realm.
Yeah, he kicked lumps out of me, Alec Ferguson. We played at Cathkin on a day when it had been snowing. There was about a half an inch of snow on the pitch, and I was still small then, and the Glasgow boys played in the Queen's Park strip. I mean, I went out in the park. They looked like men, and Fergie was playing against me that day, but they hammered us. They hammered us that day, but I've tried to get revenge ever since.
It was becoming obvious that the little inside forward had exceptional talent. And then one fateful Sunday morning, he was told to smarten himself up. There was a visitor coming.
In walks this guy, and he sits down at the table with me. My father was sitting in the easy chair reading the paper, and he started telling me all about the Glasgow Rangers. And I wondered what the hell he was talking about. And after about half an hour, he pulled this form out of his pocket and says, "Just sign there, son." And I says, "I'm not signing that." I says, "What do you mean? I'm not signing anything." And my father moved the paper about an inch to the side, and he says, "Sign that paper." And you had to do as your parents told you. And I hurriedly signed the thing. And he says, "You'll not regret that," and walked out the door, and I started crying. And I says to my brother, what you made me do? He says, "Actually, you've signed for Glasgow Rangers." I said, "But I'm a Hearts supporter."
That quickly changed after a visit to Easter Road to see his new employers play Hibs in the League Cup. Rangers won 6-1, and from that day on, the young Greig's loyalty was firmly established. He still remembers his first view of Ibrox Stadium.
I looked up and I saw the size of this building. I thought, what on earth is this? And then when they took me inside and showed me the stadium inside, it was unbelievable. They put some of the floodlights on. And I mean, the hairs were standing up the back of my neck. And really, I mean, I couldn't believe this was a football park to play in, because I wasn't used to anything like that. And I mean, to this day, even yet, when I'm driving down off the motorway towards Ibrox, I still got a funny feeling. It's still there, you know, there's still a feeling. I suppose now it's changed a bit to pride and other things, but still a magnificent football stadium.
Scott Simon gave the young inside right his Rangers debut in September 1961 in a League Cup tie against Airdrie. He was still 9 days short of his 19th birthday. Rangers won 4-1, and it could hardly have gone better.
I was disappointed it took me 10 minutes to score a goal, but I think one was after the game, realising that I was maybe nearing my ambition of becoming a football player, because it wasn't easy to break into the Rangers first team, but to get a game as early in my career as that for the first team was a real bonus. Because there's some great players. I mean, the team that they had in the early '60s was a fabulous team. I scored a lot of goals when I was a kid. I had an eye for the goal, so and I had quite a good shot on both feet. So that was a big advantage.
Greig played 15 times that first season, scoring an impressive 8 goals. That summer, Rangers left for a tour behind the Iron Curtain, and the 19-year-old Greig was outstanding.
We were touring Russia as the first British team to go to Russia at the end of that season. And we came back unbeaten after 3 games. And according to the reports in the papers and things that I read when I came back, they seemed to think I did all right. And there again, Harry Davies, who was another great servant to the club and a great player, Harry was coming to the end of his career at right half. And he pulled a muscle in his calf just during the winter break, just after that. And Scott Simon put me in at right half, and that started the half-back line of Greig, McKinnon and Baxter.
Greig's Old Firm debut came on New Year's Day 1963. It was the winter of the big freeze, and Rangers wouldn't play again until March the 9th. But just as he had on his Rangers debut, Greig marked the occasion with a goal.
Baxter. 8 minutes gone. Brand. And Kennedy gives away the first corner. Davis has it. And it's a goal, yes.
I'd been out for several weeks with a back injury, and I hadn't played. And having not played, I broke a rule which I had in those days, that I never did anything the night before a match. But I was, my wife Jeanette and I were we started going about with each other just before that. So she says, if you're not playing, why don't you come down and hug me and we can go to visit some friends and everything. So I says, fine. So I stayed out to about 4 o'clock in the morning, albeit just a half pint shandy or something. But when I arrived at Ibrox the next day for the New Year's Day game, it was always a big game against Celtic. And I was sitting in the foyer at the stadium with a lot of the young lads, and Scott Simon came down the stairs and he worked his way along and he said, "Happy New Year, Willie, Happy New Year, Tommy, Happy New Year, John, you're wearing a number 8 jersey today."
Brogan. As I said already, he's Celtic's most dangerous forward. Baxter takes it. Baxter. Ferren coming over. Stott. Ferren still coming on. Baxter to Wilson. He's outside left. Bren. And it must be, yes, Greig. Here's Greig coming in. On to Brand. Greig again. It's a goal. And that makes it 3. Inside forward, Greig has made it Rangers 3, Celtic 0.
It all turned out well at the end of the day because we won 4-0 and I scored a goal. But I often wonder if we had lost 4-0, what had happened, because the party I went to was all Rangers supporters. And I wonder what they were all going to the game. So I wonder what their faces were like when they announced the teams and they heard I was playing inside right.
The Rangers team of that era was one of the best in the club's history, and 2 members in particular were very influential in young Greig's career.
I travelled every day in the train with Alfie Brand and Jimmy Miller. We were 2 regulars in that team. And they gave me a great deal of help just by passing on their knowledge and about the game and discussing the games on Monday mornings and giving me little tips about this and little tips about that. And that was a marvellous, marvellous education for me. And I'll tell you, people wouldn't believe it nowadays, but we used to get off the train at Queen Street Station and walk down to, I think it's round Field Street, to get a 54 bus going to Crookston. And we used to meet up with Jim Baxter standing at the bus stop, and that was 4 of the players in that first team standing waiting for a corporation bus coming along. All international players to take us over to Ibrox for training. And Jim wouldn't be too happy if the conductor asked him for his fare. And you only got a word out of Jim if he was in a good mood. But I mean, where would you ever see that now? They come to train in Ferraris and everything, you know, a different ballgame altogether.
Rangers won the championship that season by 9 points from Kilmarnock, but before that there was a Scottish Cup final meeting with Celtic. Almost 130,000 saw the teams draw 1-1, first time round.
Well, he was lucky to get that one back again. Brand, Miller, to Henderson, and all the Celtic defence in the wrong place. And Brand scored! Well, if you can't see that goal, it's because we've got nothing but Rangers supporters standing here. To Divers. Mackay clearing. Murdoch coming through, and here's Hughes. Hughes should score. No, but Murdoch does. Here's Shearer. On to Baxter. Wilson. And McNeil's a hero with Henderson coming in with Brogan. Over it goes. And it's Mackay who gets it away. And then Murdoch. And what a finish to this cup final. And it's a goal kick.
Remarkably, Rangers had to play 3 league games in the 11 days before the replay. And there was another massive crowd to see the young Greig win his first Cup Winners' medal.
Crowd of approaching 130,000 here at Hampden. The atmosphere just right for an exciting, tense cup final match. Touch on to Miller. They will pass to Henderson. Brand scores. Baxter will take this free kick. McNamee heads it away. Here's Miller. Left foot drive, it cannons off the post. Divers. Rolling it towards Craig. Baxter. Wilson. Miller. They will pass from Miller to Wilson. Miller. Brand, a shot on the crown of the ball into the net. An incredible goal by Ralph Brand.
Celtic had a central defender called John McNamee who eventually went to the Hibs, and he kicked me right in the face that night and dislodged a few of my teeth. Mind you, his foot was sore for about 6 months after it, but I got my medal that night, but I had a bruised face to show for it because I think there's pictures now. My face was up like a balloon. Didn't do my looks any good, but it gave me my first medal.
In September of that year, Rangers faced one of the greatest of all European teams, the Real Madrid of the early 60s in the European Cup. It was only Greig's 4th European appearance.
Baxter, this elegant footballer. It one to Greig. There's Di Stefano after him. Still Greig out to Henderson. Corner. That's Greig. To Forrest. McLean going forward quickly. Up to Henderson. A young Forrest again. Oh, a beautiful shot!
We held them to a 1-0 defeat at Ibrox, but I thought, well, we'll get them back in Madrid. They'll probably underestimate us. They did. They only beat us 6-0.
Now McLean. Up to Henderson.
Di Stefano, Puskas, Gento, they kept the ball away from us one time for about a minute and a half. We couldn't even get near it.
Well, and it's Greig getting it away. This is Brand into Greig. Young Forrest. And again, Santa Maria. There's Shearer. And here's Hinto. There's Puskas himself to Hinto. And it's a goal. A lovely goal.
Despite, or maybe partly because of that European Cup lesson, Rangers went on to complete a domestic clean sweep with the club's first treble since 1949. This rare footage shows the League Cup final win over Morton by 5-0, in which 19-year-old striker Jim Forrest scored 4 and his cousin Alec Willoughby the other. It's worth remembering that Rangers lineup: Ritchie, Shearer, Provan, Greig, McKinnon, Baxter, Henderson, Willoughby, Forrest, Brand and Wilson. Captain Bobby Shearer lifted the trophy that day and would do so again after the Scottish Cup final against Dundee.
From Brand. Through to McLean. They're all getting in each other's road. And that's quite unbelievable. 20 minutes to go as Henderson takes his corner kick. Miller, and it's goal! Goal by Miller. Poor Slater, after performing all these heroics, a picture of dejection. And here's Cameron's off. I've said he's offside. And it's a goal! A beautiful goal by Cameron. It's Henderson on the left wing. It's a goal, yes, and Miller has scored. I thought the ball was going over the bar. And Henderson on the Brand, with Henderson taking it. On to Wilson. And there's going to be another one. Yes, it's a top one.
What I remember most about that was that we seemed to knit into a formation. I know there's a lot spoken about nowadays about 4-3-3s and all the different tactical situations, but basically my job when I went back to right half was two things. I was basically to act as a sweeper for Ronnie McKinnon, tidying up for Jim to allow Jim Baxter to go forward. So we were basically playing a 4-2-4 formation before somebody really put a name to it. And it worked so well because when you've got players like Ralphie Brand, Jimmy Miller scoring goals, Davy Wilson, a winger, scoring the goals that Davy scored, wee Willie Henderson getting prompted with somebody like Jim Baxter. We played in a lot of games whereby it must have been good because, as you said, the fans still speak about that team yet. But I think it was a very entertaining team as well.
The entertainment continued the following season as Rangers collected their 4th trophy in a row in the League Cup final of 1964-65 against Celtic.
Kennedy, Greig is really mopping up what Celtic have managed to put on his way so far. Johnston. Provan. Gemmell gives it a sort of bacular. Forrest. Murdoch. Out jumping Wood. Chalmers. Murdoch. Kennedy. Baxter. Kushner is cheating. Forrest.
They were an exceptional team, so does John believe that the team of that era is the best Rangers team he played in, even better than the double treble winning squad of the mid-70s?
I don't like judging. I don't like having to pick one from the other because I don't like speaking about my fellow ex-players like that. But I think the testimony to that situation has to be that you can't kid the supporters on. And so many supporters speak about the 63 team more so than the middle 70s teams. So I have to go a wee bit with the majority there.
But across the city, the Jock Stein era had begun. An outstanding Celtic team was emerging, and success for Rangers was about to become harder to achieve.
In many ways, we thought we were playing against 12 players in those days, because we could be having a good result or playing well against them in the first half. And being the captain, I used to say, be prepared, because Jock Stein will change it. He'll change something, which might change the game. And we used to always try and think what Jock Stein would do, because he was a great manager.
Ironically, it was his loyalty and commitment during those often difficult years that won John Greig such a special place in the fans' hearts.
I personally think that time that Celtic had their 9-in-a-row team, that because I stayed with the club, I think the Rangers supporters appreciated that. Because in those days, if you were an international player, 9 times out of 10 you could go to England, and I could have went to England, but I had no thoughts of going there at all. It never crossed my mind. I never gave it a thought, and I knew and I was hopeful that the coin would turn again. I didn't think it would take as long as it did, but eventually it did, and I think the older Rangers supporters appreciated that, and because I didn't want to leave the club.
John Greig was Scotland's Player of the Year in 1966 and also took over as club captain. The Scottish Cup was won in a replay victory over Celtic in 1966, but no one could know that it would be the last for 4 long years.
Ball's out. Well, according to Mr. Wharton, it was out. Inside forward Johnston. Well, I don't know how McLean missed that one. And somebody's foot stopped that one. And there's a goal by Johansson. Oh, there it is. Johansson, the first Danish player ever to appear in a cup final, and he is celebrated by scoring the first goal.
In 1967, Rangers and Celtic both reached European finals, but before then the two clubs rounded off their league programme with a 2-2 draw in front of 78,000 at Ibrox. Rangers then had more than 3 weeks to wait before their second European Cup Winners' Cup final.
We'd done very well in the tournament. We'd beaten the holders, Borussia Dortmund, in an earlier round. And then just our luck, we got Bayern Munich in the final. 2 German teams, one being the holders and one winning the German Cup. And we had to play in Nuremberg of all places, so it was like a home game for Bayern Munich. And it was a great Bayern Munich team with Franz Beckenbauer and Breitner and Müller and God knows, they had about 6 or 7 of the West German international team in it. And we did very well in that game, considering that I think we had about 6 midfield players playing, and we took them into extra time, and they beat us 1-0 after extra time.
Johnson. Beckenbauer. Oh, great chance for Smith. That was one that popped up there out of the blue for Alex Smith. Johnston. Pine. Smith. Pine did. Oh, great save by Meyer. Oh, a brilliant save. Olhauser showed Munich are just waiting for the moment when they can throw Beckenbauer through. Roti scored!
I went into the dressing room after the game, and it was a huge, big concrete dressing room, and I was first in, obviously, and I had this little box with a medal in it, and I hit it off every wall in the place. I threw it that hard, and I was so disappointed. And we're going in the team bus back to the hotel, and Joe Craven, who was the second team trainer, who had a lot to do with my early career when I was playing in the second team for a few games, He came up to me in the bus and he handed me this little box back, and it was all burst and everything with my medal in it. He says, "I know you're disappointed," he says, "but you may want to look back on that in future years." He says, it might mean a lot to you. And I put it in my pocket. But I'll never forget wee Joe doing that, you know, because as far as I couldn't have cared less if I'd seen the medal again, because I was bitterly disappointed that we lost the game. But it made me probably all the more determined that if it ever happened again, we would win.
By the mid-60s, Greig was firmly established as a Scotland player. He went on to win 44 caps after making his debut against England in 1964, many of them as captain. One of the most memorable was a World Cup qualifier against Italy in 1965.
It's funny, the amount of people that stop me nowadays and say to me, "I remember that goal you scored against Italy in the World Cup qualifying games in 1965. I was there." And I keep saying to myself, well, Hampden must hold about 500,000 people because everybody was at Hampden that night. And I suppose on the evening it was a great thrill to score the goal. It was a great boost for Scotland to get a result against Italy, and it gave us a great chance to qualify because we had a really good side. I mean, we had a lot of good players, but unfortunately it backfired on us. We got beaten Naples in the replay. But Jock Stein was the manager, and he decided to play me at right back. And it was the first time I'd ever played right back. And actually, I played the ball to Jim Baxter, and I was quite astonished to get the ball back from him first time, because Jim liked to hold the ball and everything, but he used himself as a wall and passed the ball back to me. And I just hit with my left foot into the net. And I went inside Jimmy Johnstone that time. And the big thing about it was, I think it all built up because the lights in the stand went on at the Old Hampden, which always signified there was only a few minutes of the game to go. And they had already gone on when I put the ball in the net. So it left this huge crowd again. It was over 100,000 again, I think. Everybody going home happy and with a chance of qualifying for the World Cup, because the World Cup was the next year in England.
England, of course, won that 1966 World Cup. You probably heard about it. The following year, Scotland faced the new world champions at Wembley, with Greig as captain.
For me, to walk out that famous dressing room, not that tunnel at Wembley, as a captain of Scotland playing against England, was a great thrill. And I suppose it was a great thrill for my three brothers as well.
This is number 6, Jim Baxter. And a chance here for this is Martin Peters. Nobby Stiles. And John Greig gets a big roar from the Scottish supporters here at Wembley as he cut down the efforts of Nobby Stiles to get the ball across. But Nobby now. Charlton. Now it's Tommy Gemmell for Scotland. Moore gets his head in the way and Gemmell has it again. And a chance here for Lennox, number 11. Jim McCalliog. Oh, McCalliog!
In those days, especially when I was not qualifying for European Championships or World Cup finals, the England game was the big game. It was the biggest match of the year. And they, having just won the World Cup in the year before, were the undisputed world champions, and we just beat them. So, being Scottish, of course, that made us now the unofficial world champions, till we drew 1-1 with Mongolia or something at Hampden about 3 months later.
Charlton under this one. Oh, McCalliog, and now Lennox. Gemmell coming in. This looks dangerous for Scotland again. Virtually short of getting his head to Gemmell's cross ball.
Well, I mean, Jimmy Baxter, Jim rubbed salt into the wound by just taking the mick out of them. Wee Alan Ball was running about there with his tongue out because he couldn't get the ball off of Jim. He was keeping it up, and he sat the ball at Wembley at another time as well. But it was a great day for us.
Scotland slowing it down.
taking the mickey out of this England side.
Ronnie used to say to me before the game, he says, look, he says, I'm not a big goalkeeper, he says, but he had a good spring in his legs. He says, if I go for my line, he says, you watch the line. I says, okay. So he went out for his cross ball, missed it, and big Jackie Charlton headed it, I think. And I was on the line, headed the ball over the bar, with a good laugh about it. I says, well, our plan worked, Ronnie, you know.
The next few seasons at Ibrox, though, were hard for the Rangers support to bear. Scott Simon and his replacement as manager, Davy White, both left, as a more than useful Rangers side continually had to settle for second best to Celtic, and no trophies were won.
It was heartbreaking because you got all our supporters behind you. You know, and it's not just for you in the park. I mean, I used to be raging for 2 or 3 days after we got beat with Celtic, still am. But our supporters had to take it as well. Go to their work on a Monday morning if they're losing the weekend to Celtic. I mean, it's not easy. We're no mugs by any means, but Celtic were a magnificent side. And as I said earlier, we always felt they had an extra man with Jock Stein. And it was difficult. It was really difficult times. But you can't always be in top of football, so the pendulum would have to swing at some stage.
It did, but ironically, Greig was out injured when Rangers finally ended the long barren spell when 16-year-old Derek Johnston scored the only goal in the 1970 League Cup final win over Celtic. But just 10 weeks later came the most tragic event in the club's history, when 66 people lost their lives at the end of the New Year match with Celtic.
I was standing up putting my shirt on, and they started carrying bodies into the dressing room. And I said, what on earth's happened? And she says, well, there's been an accident, there's a lot of people being seriously hurt and killed. And I thought, she says, would you leave as quick as you can? So I walked back along the corridor, the same corridor that had led the team out just an hour and a half before, and I walked down the tunnel, and all the floodlights were still on, and this fog and gloom was hanging about the place, making the place really eerie looking. And right along the touchline was all these bodies lying covered up, and it was. When I think about it regularly, but young kids and people going out to a football match and never coming back. I mean, you just can't believe it. Well, we went to every funeral, but some of us went to 3, 4, 5 funerals per day, if we could. The whole thing, and even now, 30 odd years later, it's still unreal. But I'll never go over that one. Never go over that.
Just 8 months after the heartbreak of the Ibrox disaster, the European Cup Winners' Cup campaign began, which would bring Rangers their greatest triumph. Top quality sides were knocked out along the way as Rangers qualified for the final against Moscow Dynamo in Barcelona. The newly bearded Greig had a conviction that this time they would not fail.
Going to the game that night in Barcelona, miles from the stadium, when I started to see Rangers supporters with their regalia on, I just felt we couldn't lose that game for them. There was no opposition supporters because there was nobody for Russia at the game, the Russian team. So it was all our supporters. And I just felt that night we couldn't lose that match. And I'll never forget saying to Willie Johnson when he scored the third goal, because he'd played in Nuremberg as well. I says, well, bud, they'll not stop us this time. 15 minutes later, I wished I hadn't said it.
Jordan's in. No whistle. Dave Smith has it towards Colin Steen. Here's Steen. It's a goal. It's a goal by Steen. What a goal! John Greig's there. Just a touch by Greig. Greig really, you know, is not the fit John Greig we'd like to see, but he's out there and he's playing his heart out for Rangers. Here's Dave Smith. Smith going up. It's a good ball, it's a goal. It's a goal by Willie Johnston. 39 minutes gone. Steen, and here's Willie Johnston with a chance.
And it's a goal. It's a goal by Johnston, right out of the blue. Rangers 3 up. Incredibly, 3 up. Here's Matheson, and it's a bad one. It's a great chance for the Russians. And that's a goal. Number 13 has scored. Now number 10, Mahonyakov. And it's a goal. It's a great goal.
The biggest disappointment from their point of view, not from our point of view, from their point of view, was that they gave me the cup in this little stupid room. It wasn't any bigger than this. And basically says Glasgow Rangers, European Cup winners, 1972 here. Now get out here as quick as you can, because the problems. I didn't know that it was so serious on the pitch, because they're taking us through all these corridors in the Barcelona Stadium, and it was like an anticlimax, because the Celtic supporters got to enjoy Lisbon. Our supporters, third final, never saw the cup. And that, to me, will always be a big disappointment on their behalf.
Greig, in fact, should never have played. He'd been injured in the Scottish Cup semi-final against Hibs 6 weeks previously. But there was no way that Rangers were going into the final without their inspirational captain.
The morning of the match, I woke up and I was sharing the room with Davy Smith. And I got out of my bed and I put my foot down on the floor. And I says, I need to go and see the gaffer. I said, I can't play with this. He says, you'll have to. He says, Big Ronnie went out against Sporting Lisbon with a broken leg. Colin Jackson was out. He says, you'll need to play. So they put a strapping on me and I played the game. But I says to Willie Waddle, after about our 4th or 5th bottle of champagne back in the hotel, I says, boss, I shouldn't have played tonight. I said, I wasn't fit. He says, I know. He says, but you were playing anyway. After the game, all the crowd come in the park, about the 10th time. And one guy, I've got a picture of the guy lifting me up, and his pal jumping up in the air, and he came down as I came down, and he landed on my sore foot. They x-rayed it then, and I had the original stress fracture on one side of the foot, and this Rangers supporter had gave me a stress fracture on the other side of the same foot. So I missed about the first 2 months of the next season.
Back at Ibrox, as the fans celebrated the return of the victorious team with the trophy, no one could have known that Willie Waddle was about to move upstairs to the general manager's job, and Jock Wallace would take over as team manager.
But Big Jock took over, yeah, and it was the start of a successful period as well, domestically, because we won a few trophies during the 70s.
Long ball through to Conlane. McDonald stepping in. Conlane there with Connolly. What a stramash. Back out to Young finally. Con shouting for it. Over it comes. Headed in by Con. That's a goal! Into Young. Young looking for an opening here, coming through. Still has it. Good shot, there's a goal! Kilmarnock don't get it away themselves. Young again, shot into Jordan. Jordan cutting round his man, gets it back to his left foot as well to cross it. Chance now for McLean, to Greig. Bang, 3-0. Good goal by John Greig. His 6th goal of the season for Rangers, the 3rd in this match.
Johnston. A beautiful ball to the crease. It's a goal. Here's Matheson. Honey McDonald, 11 minutes to have time. It's a good ball, it's a goal! Tarlane the scorer. Here's Quinton Young for Rangers. As towards Con. Con going through. And it's there. The goal for Rangers. Rangers 2, Celtic 1. Within about 30 seconds of the second half kickoff. And it's still there. It's there. And it's 3-2 for Rangers. Now John Greig. A beautiful ball towards O'Hara. He's on his own. There's McLean coming up. Looking for support inside. Cross not hard enough.
John Greig. Oh, what a goal! To John Greig, what a goal!
Neil. Dalglish. Dalglish scores. Greig. Jordan. Greig. Parlane. Young. Neil heading it down. McDougall. McDougall has scored. Still getting it right over the goal. Brilliantly headed in by Jackson.
Good ball finds Young, who's drifted onto the right. Derek Johnson through the middle. And the referee immediately points to the penalty spot. So Sandy Jordan versus his World Cup teammate Jim Stewart. No doubt about that one. Young. And that one slipped home. Quinton Young gets Rangers' second goal. Johnston moving in, and it's his strength that wins it for Rangers. Scott's in the middle. Playing at the far side. Up back to McKean. And a superb goal from Rangers. Jordan, way down the right. Johnston. Young. Johnston. McKean's unmarked on the right. He gets it. Kilmarnock being stretched on the right. Derek Johnson in the middle for the cross. Number 5. Young with the corner. Jackson up this time in the box, but it's a low one. Scott. Tommy McLean coming back to Kilmarnock, gets a goal.
So the Ayr United ball goes back. McLean drives it in as a glancing head on the goal. McLean, a brilliant shot by McLean. And that's it. 2 goals in 2 minutes. Jordan from the penalty spot makes it Rangers 2, Ayr United 0. So free kick to Rangers, 10 yards from the 18-yard line. McLean straight through to Parlane. It must be number 3. It is.
11 long years had passed since Rangers had last won the league championship. Going into the 1975 New Year derby, Celtic held a narrow lead in the league, so Rangers' convincing victory was highly significant.
Coming infield. Square to Parlane. Parlane gets it back. Out to McLean, still dangerous. McDonald, Johnston, Scott, all in the middle. McLean, right foot to the left foot. There's the chip cross. Johnston going in. It's there! Beautiful goal! Derek Johnson has scored in the 5th minute for Rangers. McDonald. McLean. Great chance for number 2. It's there. It's number 2. McDougall coming away for Rangers. Good running here by McDougall. Nice ball out to McLean. There's the cross. Parlane. It's a goal. 3-0. Parlane has made it 3-0. 28 minutes gone in the second half. And that's the close-up that gives you the news.
That victory set Rangers off on a 10-match unbeaten run, which by the time they arrived at Easter Road at the end of March, saw them just 1 point away from ending that long wait for the title.
Cool play by Jordan. A good pass forward to McKean. McKean going on the outside, getting it across. Chance for Steele and a goal! 16.5 minutes played and Easter Road erupts.
I was injured on the day that we were going to win the league championship at Easter Road after that big gap, and unknown to me, he had discussed it with Sandy Jordan, and I couldn't understand why he put me on the bench, because I mean, why, if I wasn't fit to play, why was he putting me on the bench? Because there was no way I was fit. So about 3 minutes to go to Easter Road, he says to me, "Right, Greggy, get your gear off, you're going on." And I thought, "You're joking." But he wanted me on the field to, when we won the championship after the gap we had. And I thought that was a tremendous gesture by him. And it said a lot. I mean, that said a lot for Jock. And I was Jock's captain. And we had some good times together.
A Glasgow Cup final victory over Celtic a few weeks later was the perfect way to round off that championship-winning season. As well as their indestructible captain, Stuart Kennedy, Sandy Jardine, Colin Jackson, Tom Forsyth, Alex MacDonald, Tommy McLean, Derek Johnston and Derek Parlane were the mainstays of the side. And along with Peter McCloy, Bobby McKean and Alex Miller, they were again to form the basis of the outstanding team which completed the treble under Jock Wallace the following season. Part 1 of that treble was completed in October 1975 with victory in the League Cup final.
Recovers well. Jackson. Quentin Young. McLean. To Young, that's a good ball. On to Derek Parlane. Parlane with it. Oh, Edmondson's there. Here's MacDonald with it. It's there. Alec MacDonald has opened the scoring.
John Greig went up to collect his 3rd League Cup winners' medal as Rangers collected the trophy for the 8th time. The captain played in every single match that treble-winning season, a total of 55 games. From early December, Rangers set off on a 21-match unbeaten run through to the end of the season.
McLean. Jackson, and it's away by Spalding, who's playing marvellously. McLean again. Beautiful one. Still. Beautifully taken. Now McLean with it. Rangers have got to exploit this situation. On back towards McLean. Great move. There. Beautiful goal. Oh, what a brilliant goal!
Jock's first principle was that if anybody's going to beat us, they'll have to be fit on us. Because he was a great guy for having the players fit. And quite honestly, I probably owe Jock Wallace a lot for helping me to be as fit as I was, which allowed me to play to the age I was nearly 36 when I stopped. I obviously did a lot for myself as well, of course, because I went to bed early and looked after myself and trained well. I was always a good trainer. But Jock gave us that physical foundation in our body to be able to build on that so as that we could do that. And he built up a team that was, his big word was character. And, well, he built up a team that had a lot of character in it. And we became very successful.
In the Scottish Cup, Rangers had to account for Aberdeen at Ibrox in round 4. Derek Johnston gave Rangers the ideal start on his way to finishing top scorer that season with 31 goals.
Rangers get the second half underway. They've got a very good Scottish Cup record against Aberdeen. This is their 17th meeting in the Cup. The previous 16 encounters, Rangers have won 9, Aberdeen 3, 4 have been draws. And Rangers confidently coming forward. Oh, what a simple goal! After 15 seconds, Alec MacDonald makes it 2-0 for Rangers. McKean trying to get round the back, but it comes to McLean. Chip forward, Henderson! That is number 3 for Rangers. A glorious goal from Martin Henderson. Rangers finding a lot of space, and McKean has got the legs to outwit Rob. Henderson's working back. He dummies it. Parlane! Brilliantly saved by Geoghegan. But Parlane's got it. Derek Parlane, Rangers' second substitute, with 4 minutes remaining, puts Rangers in an invincible lead by 4 goals to 1.
7 days before the cup final, Rangers could clinch the title at Tannadice, and a Dundee boy would score the only goal before half the crowd had taken their places.
Rangers, with 23 games in a row without defeat, are poised to win the first ever Premier Championship. And a chance for them in the opening seconds. Derek Johnston, after 21 seconds, puts Rangers ahead.
And there was another early goal for DJ the following week, when he put Rangers in front in the cup final against Hearts, even before the clock had struck 3 o'clock.
McLean with Greig. In goes Johnson, it's through! 40 seconds. It's now McKean with it. Jackson just behind there, and McDonald lets fly. That's it! Eric McDonald makes it 2-0 for Rangers on the half-time whistle. Kenny Ed. Greig mucked it up easily. Now McLean to Greig. Here's Martin Henderson in the open. Greig coming through. Henderson with it. There's McKean with Brown. Tending to overdo it. Good running by McKean though. That's it. Derek Johnston, the third goal.
Yeah, well, winning the treble in '76 was a great thing. If you win the treble in any year, it's a great thing. But I think one of the games that stood out in my memory was the semi-final of the Cup against Motherwell at Hampden. And I think we were in a little bit of danger that night because we were 2-0 down at one stage. And Motherwell was a fair side. And what I remember one incident in the game where we got a free kick deep in our own half, and I took the free kick and put this ball into orbit for about 75 yards up the field and landed it on Derek Johnston's head, and he headed it into the net. We used to work out at training, you know, and used to always find Big Ba back in the penalty box anyway because it took him that long to come back out.
And Greig with a free kick. Farley with it, it's must be, that's it. Rangers have got what should be the winner. Derek Johnston makes it 3-2 for Rangers with only 2 minutes left.
I used to have the authority to change the team on the pitch. So positionally, I used to change about things and that, you know, bring me Tom McLean over to the left and things like that, and different things. And it worked for us. But I think the biggest thing was that it was such an experienced side that gave us a lot of success.
Greig's inspiring leadership made him Scottish Player of the Year again, while the Queen honoured him with an MBE, one of the proudest moments of his life. So what were the special qualities which had caught Her Majesty's eye?
A tremendous speed, a great skill with the ball. You start to cut that. I think it's always easier for other people to judge these things in you. But I think I never went in a park without having the will to win the game. I didn't matter who I played against. Playing for Rangers, I thought I could beat anybody. So my desire to win the game, first and foremost, I think I owed a lot to my physical fitness that allowed me to do what I wanted to do. I used to start every game and have a direct competition against my immediate opponent. And if I felt if I could overcome him, that was part of my job done. And being the captain, then I could concentrate on helping others as well. And I used to look and see what kind of player I was playing against so that I could go in the park ready for that. I wasn't great in the air. I was probably average in the air. I like to make a tackle.
Park losing to Greig. Greig swerving down on Cruikshank. And the ball touched in by Derek Johnston. That goal superbly made by John Greig. Cut it across, and the move finished off by Derek Johnston. Rangers 4, Hearts 2, and no doubt about the correct result here at Ibrox.
I never ever felt that was unfair. But I like to make contact with other players. And I used to score some goals. But I think it's a hell of a question you've asked me, by the way. But I don't suppose, I'm not a big-headed person, but I don't suppose that I could have played the amount of games that I played for the club and been the captain for as many years and been an international player for as many times if I didn't have something. So there must have been something in me that was right.
Although he didn't know it at the time, 1978 was to be John's last season in a Rangers jersey. And what a way to finish, with a second treble in 3 years. The New Year victory over Celtic brought Greig's final goal against the old enemy, and one of the most controversial.
How will Celtic react to this? There's the answer. Joe Craig trying ahead of there, appeals that he had been fouled. The referee waving play on. For a moment, he gave the Celtic fans some hope there. He appeared to run to the spot, but waved play on. McDonald. McLean. Russell must score. Greig, in fact, finishes it off. Celtic caught out there completely. They were busily protesting. The referee ran to the penalty spot, allowed the play to run on.
Celtic once again were the victims when the first leg of the treble was won in March 1978, with the winner coming in the final minute of extra time.
Donald inside, Dowie with Smith. Cooper. Smith. The back is Greig. And Smith made that look obvious. He gets it crossing. There's Cooper. It's a great goal. Judged well. Snedden. People watching it carefully. That's an equaliser. Edbolton. Miller going now. McDonald was there. And that must be Gordon Smith has scored Rangers second with 3 minutes left. And there's a very delighted John Greig. I think tying on the ribbon, I don't think they could have been very sure about it right to the end. And he's done that a win at times in his career.
65,000 fans paid tribute in John's testimonial match against a Scotland 11 in April, and then 6 weeks later the league title was added with a 2-0 win over Motherwell.
Motherwell defence looking dangerously. There's Cooper, now Johnston. Wants to cut it back, it must be Smith, yes. About 50,000 people looking at the referee. Much more fluid again. And there it goes. John Greig with the ball at the final. Rangers have won the championship. Off goes John Greig, acknowledged by his team as one of the great captains of Ibrox.
3 weeks earlier, John had scored what would be his 140th and final goal for the club at Ayr United's Somerset Park. And it wasn't a bad goal either.
Play by Russell. Greig might think about a shot. Plays a shot one. Greig still going and scoring!
And so to Hampden, May the 6th, 1978, the Scottish Cup final against Billy McNeill's Aberdeen. John Greig's 857th and last match in a Rangers jersey. Not that anyone knew it that afternoon, he had already signed a new contract to play on for another year. Appropriately, a wonderful playing career ended in triumph, and a 16th major medal.
Jordan. McLean with his left foot. And a great header by Johnston. Great goal by Johnston. McCly. That's it. Rangers have won, and John Greig has his 6th winner's medal. The remarkable man who has just capped 18 seasons at Ibrox, playing in his 73rd Scottish Cup tie, and Jock Wallace, the Rangers manager, saying well done to all the players. There is the face of a very, very happy man. The full-time score, Aberdeen 1, Rangers 2. Now they're going up, led by John Greig, the captain courageous, the marvellous man of Ibrox, to receive the trophy. What a moment of real joy for John Greig. And followed by the very, very happy Rangers players.
What really was a great season for us as a club and as me as an individual, at the end of the day, turned out to be probably sad as well, because I didn't realise when we played Aberdeen in the Scottish Cup final at the end of the season, to win the treble, it was to be my last ever game in a Rangers jersey, because I'd signed a contract to play the following season. But a few weeks later, Jock Wallace left and I became the manager. I looked back at the history of this club and counted how many managers had been here in over 100 years. It was very few. And here I was getting asked to be one more. I thought, well, I might never ever get the chance to do it again. And by that time, I'd spent something like 18 years in the club. And it was very hard to say no. So I said yes. The team that I left were a very experienced side, and they gave me such a great respect as the captain of that team. It wasn't hard for me because I had so much respect for them, and I think they had the respect for me as a player. It would have been harder if it had been young players, but they were all experienced players, and I didn't have that big problem with that.
The new manager got off to an impressive start. He came within one match of another treble in his first season, and his tactical acumen was immediately obvious with two outstanding Rangers performances in the European Cup.
Rangers with a pre-planned move. There's Forsyth with it. Here's a great chance for Smith. And there's a goal! Russell. Oh, it's a goal! Gordon Smith.
Forsyth. It's slagged. There's McDonald. Here's Tommy McLean. Needs to kill it quickly. There's Alec McDonald. He scored! Oh, it's a superb goal by McDonald. Oh, that's a goal! That's a superb goal! Tommy McLean. He has Bobby Russell inside. Russell going through a brilliant run by Russell. He needs a chip, he's done it! Oh, great goal by Russell!
PSV hadn't lost a European game at home in 25 years. And we had plan A and plan B. And we had to put plan B into operation 25 seconds after the start of the game because they scored a goal in 7 seconds, I think it was. But again, great credit to the players. They were an experienced team, they knew what to do, and we won the game 3-2. I think at that stage, and knowing them all individually as well as I did, they all had the same ambition as I had. That was to try and win the European Cup. And you didn't get many opportunities at it. And I think when we got to the quarter-final that season, they felt possibly they could go on from that. But we lost to Cologne in the quarter-final. And I could see in the faces of some of them that night in the dressing room that, reading into what they were trying to think, I could see that they thought, well, that's it over for some of us, you know, we'll not get as near as this again and maybe be able to go to the final. And I thought, well, yeah, it's been a great team. It's been a long road we've been together, but I'm going to have to maybe look at changing it a bit, and I had to do that.
Even as the new boss contemplated the rebuilding of an ageing team, the Scottish Cup was won by beating Hibs, and the League Cup with victory over Aberdeen.
McDonald, that's a deflection, is in! Alec McDonald, with 52 minutes of the second half gone, Rangers have equalised. Playing with us, all the big men up. Derek Johnson, Colin Jackson. There's Jackson going for it here. Fully 3 minutes into injury time, Colin Jackson has done what he's done so often.
Fixture congestion was certainly a factor as the championship was lost. Rangers played 12 matches in 7 weeks before losing a virtual league decider with Celtic, a memory which still hurts.
Yeah, it was very hard to take because we lost at Celtic Park. It was very hard to take any time losing to Celtic, especially in these circumstances. But we won 2 trophies that year, which was good for the boys, and I was pleased for them.
Over the next 5 years, Greig's Rangers would win another Scottish Cup and a League Cup, both against Dundee United. But the pressures of rebuilding both the team and the stadium eventually led to the saddest day of his 23-year career at Ibrox, when Greig resigned as Rangers manager in October 1984.
With a fair bit of success, I felt that I also had to break up the very successful treble-winning teams because of age, nothing more than age, and I had to get young players into the club, which I was trying to do, and start young players because the average age of the players in this team in the club at that time were very it was very high, and I wanted to get young players about the place, and I basically felt at that stage that it'd probably be better for the club to step on after 4 years if I left. And although it broke my heart, I made that decision. I basically knew I was putting myself out of football because I didn't want to go anywhere else. I couldn't manage another club. I had plenty of offers, but I couldn't have come in another club to Ibrox and sat in the opposition bench and played against Rangers. I wouldn't have taken that job because I would have known full well that I wasn't giving it 100% to the club, the new club that I had joined, and I wouldn't cheat anybody like that. Because I knew full well I couldn't go back to Ibrox and try and beat Rangers, working for another club. So it was sad because, and I'm not comfortable with it because I knew that I was probably putting myself out of football.
There's no doubt that the unrelenting pressure to turn things around was beginning to take its toll on John's health during those last few stressful months.
My health-wise, I was struggling a bit with 1 or 2 things. And I didn't know at the time that my son was having a hard time at school, or I'd have probably left earlier. But my family was very important to me, and when it started affecting them as much as it did, irrespective of how the decision was for me, I had to make it. But I wanted to do it in a dignified way, and I wanted to walk away from it in a way whereby I would never ever say anything bad about the club, and I wanted to keep my dignity in doing so. And I think looking back now, probably the way that I did it is one of the reasons why I'm back here now.
During his 7 years out of football, John was a travel agent specialising in golf and a popular and insightful BBC pundit. In 1990, David Murray brought him back to Ibrox as PR manager, before new manager Dick Advocat offered him the chance to get involved with the team again.
Yeah, that was probably a big crossroads in my life, because when I came back, I was determined not to get involved because it wasn't right. I had to remember my place. I wasn't back here as a manager or anything, although Graham and Walter were great with me. But Dick Advocat coming changed all that, because being a first foreign manager of this club, he needed a lot of guidance and a lot of help, just in even the simplest of things, about when you go to an away ground, which way do you go to the dressing room, simple things. It rekindled a lot of the football in me, tactical things, because he was a very organised guy, tactically and everything. And he used to sit and talk to me, and I really enjoyed it because that suited me down to the ground. and we become very close. That's the reason why I'm sitting today with my tracksuit, my training gear on, because I then started going to train every day with the first team, watching them training, and he would say to me, watch the back four players, tell me what you think after it, tell me what you think about this midfield player, what do you think about that? He would give me tapes to look at players, and I got very much involved.
Following Dick Advocaat's departure, John then took the chance to get more involved in an area of the club he had always cared deeply about.
There's a lot of people helped me when I was a kid to become a football player. Free of charge, did a lot to help me. I'm thinking about my boys' club leader and guys that run my juvenile team and everything, my older brother, everything. And I wanted to try and help some of the kids you see here, give them the opportunity to be what I was in my life, to become a first team football player. And that was always one of my big ambitions, despite the fact I was getting older. And I spoke to Dick about it, and he says, great. So that's the reason why I came along here. I still mix with the first team boys. I go to all the first team games, but I have the benefit now of trying to help a lot of youngsters.
As Rangers moved into a new millennium, there was further recognition for this enduringly popular character when he was invited to become a director of the club he has served so well for so long.
Great honour to me. Probably a bigger honour to me than a lot of people might realise, because I remember when directors of Rangers Football Club walked into a room, there was a certain aura about it, you know, and a respect about the situation. And it was different in those days because directors were completely different from what they are nowadays. But I remember what I used to think about Rangers directors, and irrespective of what people might think about me, I'll give the directorship of being the respect it deserves.
There has never been a greater ambassador for Rangers Football Club. Whether it's attracting young players to the club and encouraging them in their Rangers careers, or in his welcoming role as club director on match days, John Greig is still giving everything to the club he joined as a wide-eyed youngster 45 years ago. Of all the deserved tributes he has been paid, none means more to him than the accolade he received in March 1999, when, of all the thousands of players who have worn the light blue jersey, Rangers fans around the world voted John Greig as the greatest ever Ranger.
I think just to be mentioned in the same sentence as half of these great players that's played for this club would have been a big accolade enough for me. But to be given that title, it's a lot to live up to, I suppose, but a great honour.
Ladies and gentlemen, amidst many great players, this man is truly the greatest ever Ranger. Like Willie Waddle, he served this club in every single capacity. He always gave 100% for the club. And I can tell you that since the day he joined Rangers Football Club to this very day, he does nothing, he says nothing, he takes no decision without wondering how it will affect this club. This club means everything to him, and it is right that he means everything to this club. If you have a son who wants to play football, there's only one man who can be the true mentor, who can actually show what it is like to show loyalty, determination and courage. And this man had them all, and he had some more. He is also a great and dear personal friend, and I, like you, love him more than I can say. He deserves his title, the legend himself, the greatest ever Ranger, John Greig.
It was a great night, if for nothing else, to see all the great players there. And again, I think probably trying not to be selfish about it, it was an opportunity for Jeanette and Murray to come along, because they had to put up a lot when I was a player, because I was away from home and not so much when I was needed. So it was great for them to enjoy the night as well. But a great tribute.
Loved and revered by everyone who holds Rangers Football Club close to their heart, Greig still gets a thrill just by walking up that famous marble staircase.
Okay, catch you later, girls. It's still the same. I get a buzz every time I walk in the front door. Every time. I'm so proud that after all these years that I can still be a wee part of it. That means so much to me.
Can you play football here? You can't play football anywhere.
I remember getting wheeled out in the wheelchair when I had my heart attack in the gymnasium at Ibrox. I think it was 6 or 7 years ago now. And they reversed me round to take me down off the pavement. And as I was sitting back in the chair, I looked up and I saw the Rangers Football Club at the top, and I thought, surely this is not the way it's going to end. And I'll never forget that, because someday it will end, but hopefully I'll no going out in a stretcher or anything like that. But it's been a great privilege to have been in that club for all these years. I can't remember where they've all gone. The moment's so quick. But for as long as I'm there, I'll do everything I can to try and help the club in any way I can. And that's about as much as I can say, because it's an emotional thing,
John Greig. Whoa, what a goal! It's Greig coming in. On to Brand. Greig again. To go. And that makes it 3. Red card. Greig never been out of your picture in the last 10 minutes. Back serve.
Does well to force it. Chance now for McLean to Greig. Fine, 3-0.